slated for release, I guess now this November. And according to Dan and others, the royal family does not want to see the publication of this book. They fear and believe that it's going to be very negative about the royal family. And now, given the fact that the Queen just died, the timing is far from ideal. So Bowers goes on with Dan during GB News's royal coverage. And here's what happened.
In the end, it's down
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
to whether Harry and Meghan are prepared to apologise to Kate and William. My suspicion is, I'm convinced they won't apologise. Even worse, I'm told tonight that Harry is insisting that his book is published in November.
You serious?
Kidding. Absolutely, it's absolutely astonishing. He's insisting. Apparently the publishers are not too certain, but he says that if they don't publish, he will breach a contract. That's what I'm told. And it's extraordinary, because I think that's pretty, on the other hand, it fits the bill, because Harry and Meghan's finances depend entirely on the book and on Netflix. And also, I think they're convinced they're in the right, and they want to get their own back. And I think that part of the problem getting them to come out on that walk yesterday was very much because they can't decide whether they should appear or not. After all, they didn't plan to be here for a funeral. They thought they were coming for just a visit to promote themselves. They've been caught up in it.
You serious?
What do you make of that, Nigel? If he comes out with this book?
Tom Bower is the biographer of our times, written the most incredible books about members of the royal family, about big business figures, political figures, Boris Johnson, Richard Branson, you name it. I'm very pleased that it wasn't him, but somebody else that wrote a big biography about me, because Tom Bower is really good at putting his finger on those personality flaws. And by the way, we all have them, of course. We all have them. So would Harry go ahead with this book? Well, think about this. When the Oprah Winfrey interview happened, right, Harry and Meghan knew that
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
his grandfather was at death's door. They knew that Philip was not going to make his 100th birthday, and that was only 10 weeks away. And they still went ahead with the interview. This trip to the UK, they came here this time. You know, Meghan gave a speech up in Manchester. They went to Dusseldorf for an event. Do you know, they weren't even going to go and visit the Queen on this trip. And I thought Charles's words in the
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
King's speech were very interesting. He talked about Kate, or Catherine, as we're now branding her, and William as the new Prince and Princess of Wales. But when he referred to Harry and Meghan, he didn't call them,
Wait for it,
the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. No. He talked about my love for Harry, Meghan, and their family, who are now building their new life overseas. This is what King Charles III said. And I read into that.
Here it comes.
You're living on the west coast of America. We want nothing to do with you. Please stay there.
Interesting. Well, I did think it was interesting that Meghan comes over. She goes out there to sort of shake the hands of people. And let's be honest about it. Meghan and Harry made the Queen's last 2 years much more difficult than they needed to be. I mean, there's something galling about seeing them glad-handing with the mourners when name me somebody else who caused more agita to the poor Queen in her last 2 years of life than those two. Right? I mean, it's just...
It was so disrespectful. It was so wrong in every way. But I'll tell you what's interesting. The Queen's body is going to arrive. Queen's coffin will arrive at Buckingham Palace in about 2.5 hours' time. Okay. And there will be a military detachment, of course. There will be the King.
What?
The Queen Consort. There will be the Prince and Princess of Wales. But the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will not be there. And what this tells you, through the words that King Charles used, through the very fact they will not be there to meet the Queen's body.
Are you serious?
It arrives in Buckingham Palace, and goodness me, what a somber What a somber, emotional moment that's going to be in 2.5 hours. But the fact they're not there tells you everything. The firm, as the royal family have known, have effectively excommunicated
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
them because they know Harry will go ahead with this book, do it to make money, and do his best, not just to damage the monarchy and his own father and brother, but he'll do it because he wants to damn the United Kingdom, the British around the world. I've never seen such disloyalty in all of my life. Quite what Meghan's done to him, how it's come to this, I simply don't know.
She was glad-handing with the mourners the other day, and it made news that a few of them refused to shake her hand. You can see it in the video. A couple of women just looked down or didn't extend the hand. And now you've got Meghan's followers on Twitter.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
And we're showing the video for the people who watch us on YouTube. The woman putting on her sunglasses avoids Meghan. Then there's a woman in a dark blue shirt with gray hair who clearly does not want to shake her hand. And now you've got all these people on Twitter accusing these women.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Of racism. That they're racists because they...
Yeah. Do you know what? Aren't we getting slightly bored with all this?
Yes.
I mean, the use of this word. I mean, we should stop. Do you know what? We should stop even worrying about it. It's become utterly meaningless. It's a substitute for any form of engagement or intelligent debate. And I think we've got to just stop worrying about all these attacks. They mean nothing.
Fact. What do you make of the Oprah thing? Because I will say Oprah weighed in on Meghan and Harry today. I mean, she was in on ground zero of the racism accusation Meghan and Harry launched against the royal family. And now Oprah's calling for
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Sort of a healing moment. We have the soundbite in an interview she gave to Extra. It's soundbite 1.
We lost another trailblazer this week, the Queen. Of course, and you sat down with Meghan and Harry. We're seeing the 4 of them together now in London. Is there a hope out there that's in some way her passing would be a way to unify the family, maybe heal some wounds?
Well, this is what I think. I think in all families, my father passed recently this summer. And when all families come together,
Wait for it.
For a common ceremony, the ritual of, burying your dead, there's an opportunity for peacemaking. Yeah. And hopefully there will be that.
Yeah. Well, that is true, of course.
Yes,
I mean, there's barely a family on the planet where someone's not speaking to someone. I mean, that's just the way families. Well, it's true, isn't it?
Very true.
And then we all come together.
What?
It's the uncle's funeral or whatever it is, and we all come together. And it is an opportunity for rapprochement to be made. And there was a minor rapprochement when William reached out, and they went out, as you say, in Windsor and looked.
That doesn't make sense.
To the flowers and met some of the mourners there. But it has no long-term future if he's going to go ahead with this book. So, Oprah, sorry, I'm not with you at all. And can I just say also, she must be the worst interviewer on the planet.
Stop it.
Yeah, the idea that Oprah Winfrey is this big genius. Well, so what happened with that interview was, of course, the first half of it was with Meghan. Halfway through, Harry gets dragged in, directly contradicts some of the things that Meghan has said in the first half, and Winfrey didn't even pick up on it. So I'm not particularly impressed with her ability to do interviews and to find out the truth.
Sobbing over mundane things like bridesmaid dresses. He really believes that she's a person that's in pain. No, this is a 40-year-old woman who manipulated her way from the bottom to the top by marrying somebody who was the producer on the show who gave her her start in life, then divorcing him and finding a prince that is too thick to see what everybody else in the entire world can see. And of course, by the way, he's got an incredible memory when it comes to his conversations with Meg. He's got an incredible memory about every instance that he and Willie have a bang up and a mash up, and every time that they exchange words. But during a particular phone call in which Willie clearly laid out for him why he disliked Meghan, point by point by point, explaining to him how rude she had been to people that worked at the palace, how rude she had been to Kate. Harry, his memory just goes foggy. He says he's too tired to remember what Willie had even said on the phone. He was just too exhausted. He doesn't remember anything that Willie said in that entire discussion.
Are you serious?
That disallows us to then assess whether or not Willie maybe had some points about the fact that he was concerned that his brother was going to marry someone that everyone thinks is a sociopathic narcissist. He can't remember that part. It's too foggy. All he remembers from that conversation,
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
are that her tears were glistening. Meghan overheard it, and her tears were glistening as she held her belly, and she was pregnant before she threatened to kill her unborn child. So, yeah, it goes on and on with how many times we learn that Meghan cried and was in a heap and was in a puddle. And I think we're supposed to feel bad for her. And Harry, I think by the end of this book, you're supposed to realize that Harry is just a really sad, unfortunate person. And because he was born to give a spare kidney to his brother, something that just so factually, listen, that conversation never happened. Fact. Okay? It just never, the bone marrow discussion never happened. You're supposed to feel bad for him. And I'm going to tell you how I actually feel about him. I think Harry is the worst kind of person that this planet has to offer. There is something about betraying family members to me that completely sickens me. But doing it for profit puts him on another level. He wants to keep bringing up his mother.
Are you serious?
Because he is now using his mother as a shield, right? He's basically saying, I am allowed to be an awful human being. I am allowed to sell out my nieces, my nephews, my brother, my father, my stepmother, even my dead mother, because that's what he's doing in this book. He's using his mother's death to shield himself and to earn himself millions in America. A death that he said he wasn't impacted by. He admits he doesn't remember much about the death at all. But now, because he wants to have memories about it, just like he can start his life off as a multimillionaire in America, right? He basically says, you can't judge me because I suffered something, which was obviously very tragic. Any person that loses a relative, a mother, a father, a grandparent, is always very tragic. And with this much publicity, of course it was very tragic. He suffered a tragedy. But he wants you to believe that because he has suffered this tragedy, he is allowed to be a bad person. That's what he is. Prince Harry is a bad person. He is rotten to his core.
Stop it.
Okay? He will do anything for money. He is a prostitute, right? He is prostituting himself out right now in Los Angeles, going around talking about his family members for profit while trying to convince you that the reason that he's doing
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
it is because they spoke to the press not for profit, right? But for their reputation. He's saying they did it to salvage their reputation. So I'm doing it openly for profit. I'm going to sit down with the press that I purport to hate. I want you to believe that I hate the press so much because they took my mom from me, but also that I am colluding with them every single day to make more money. There is a special place in hell reserved for people like Prince Harry. I honestly believe that. He is despicable. I can't even look at him. He's relegated to beyond the D list when it comes to my feelings personally towards him. His wife, in the same way that he has mined this tragedy from his childhood and is using it to shield himself, his wife, who never once ever mentioned throughout her entire life and career that she was black, definitely would never think that she was black if you looked at her. Nobody had any idea she was black. But when she decided that she wanted to be a rotten individual and do something bad,
Okay.
it became beneficial for her to suddenly start being black, right? She had not a single black relative outside of her mother at her own wedding. Unless you count Oprah, who's not a relative at all, but was someone that she was about to sell her husband's family down the river to, right? She had Oprah and Gayle King at her wedding. Those were her two black friends, her black billionaire friends that she had at the wedding. None of her black family members. Now all of a sudden she wants you to know at the ripe age of 40, she had decided to take a DNA test to figure out just how Nigerian am I?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Am I Nigerian enough that I can go out and talk horribly about my new husband's family, that I can speak down to Kate Middleton, that I can trash Charlotte, that I can say and drop hints that the royal family is racist.
Are you serious?
That they asked questions about my unborn son's skin color. Can I do all of that and then say, oh, but I'm black and it's because of racism, so you guys have to be on my side, right? She's literally the most racist person featured in this book is Meghan, because she only decided to be black when she realized that she could rake in millions by being black.
Fact.
At the very end of her actress career, it became important for her to talk about how black she was as she sat in Frogmore Cottage, plotting with her despicable husband how they were going to leave the royal family and have nobody bat an eye. And it was easy. They were just going to say they left because of racism. You are both rotten to your core. And other people might be fearful to say that because they have realized your shields are powerful. You've got Princess Diana, and you've got being black. I'm not fearful to say it. I really do believe that you guys are going to get it as good as you get, as good as you give it. I wish somebody would sue you for defamation, because I would love for somebody to pursue the information about how long these two were in talks with Netflix and in talks with Oprah. Because I will tell you, it was while they were in the royal family. They were plotting all of this. They were plotting this, filming themselves. It is so obvious. But you know,
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
The royal family is not going to sue you for defamation. So instead, I am just going to call you guys both out for being terrible individuals. And I implore my listeners to allow this to be the only thing that you do as far as it goes to reading this book. Let it be just this podcast that you listen to and you get the gist of it. The gist is that an overprivileged brat is selling out his family so that he can make millions.
Fact.
And that's all I have to say about that. All right, guys, the next portion of the show is going to be available exclusively on Daily Wire Plus. I'm going to be answering, am I the asshole questions from Reddit. So